Good night, and welcome to Mindful Live 453. I am your host, occasionally your co-host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for joining me. It is presently the 10th. We're into the double digits in the numbers of the days in January, the first month of this year. Brand new year 2025. Big things are going. Hopefully. The year starts off with a bang, with an SOE, and many bangs as the guns and the gunshots keep sparking throughout the country. Not at the same rate, to be fair, but nonetheless, there has been a double murder. SOE or not, there has been a double murder. Sketchy stuff. And the double murder leans further into some worries that the judiciary were already having in this country. There was already a specter of worry hanging over the entire judiciary, and this, to me, would exacerbate that. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button, double tap the screen over there on TikTok real quick, 2 times, hit that double tap. That's how you hit the like button over there. If you are viewing this on YouTube, hit that like button too, hit the like. We feel it, we feel your presence, and the algorithm does too. Allows the algorithm to know this is some good stuff. Send it out to some more people. Send the notification out to some more people. So let's jump into that story. Good night, Jiv. Good night. Hey, that's Whitehall. A lawyer and her husband have been murdered. A lawyer and her husband have been murdered. An attorney and her husband were found dead, bound and gagged inside their home in Komoto on Thursday night. The couple was identified as Kumari Baksh, 60, and her husband, 67-year-old Nasheed Baksh, a law clerk. Police believe the husband and wife were murdered in a home invasion at Caratal Road. Now, that's interesting to me. The police have established the motive, robbery motive in slaying of lawyer and husband. I find that very interesting personally. That the police have already established that motive. I guess some things may have been missing. The house was ransacked. Police believe robbery was the motive in the country's first double murder. Attorney Kumari Baksh and her husband Nasheed. The couple was found dead at the Guatapajaro Road off Caratal Road, Komoto on Thursday night. Police were told that around 7:15 p.m. relatives went to the couple's home as they were not answering calls. Upon arriving, police said it was observed that all lights were off. They called out to the couple and got no response. The relatives entered the premises and found it ransacked. Checks were made, and 67-year-old Nasheed Baksh was found in the living room. His hands and feet were bound and he was lying motionless face down. His wife's body was discovered in a bedroom on the second floor, bound and gagged, lying motionless face down on a bed. Who am I to tell the police how to do their work? However, a lawyer was killed on the 30th of last month. We are in a state of emergency. And you're telling me that some guys went out there to do a home invasion during a state of emergency on a lawyer's house. 2 of them over the age of 60. They already had them tied up and gagged. And then after robbing them, they just murdered them randomly. Because it's obvious that they weren't murdered in a fight up with the bandits. It wasn't a fight up with the bandits that took them out, because both of them were tied up. Listen. because both of them were tied up. One upstairs, one downstairs, separately tied up in different rooms. It doesn't seem like the bandits had a whole heaping lot of difficulty there. So I am to believe if what the police are saying is accurate. Yes, Sterling. When I first started these lives, I hired moderators solely for that question. Yeah, I am to believe that after they had this elderly couple tied up and robbed them, they just murdered them for what? How is robbery the motive there? Land deal gone wrong, maybe Sir says. Well, if it's a land deal gone wrong, then robbery still cannot be the motive. The police are saying robbery is the motive. It was just a home invasion. To me, this does not make sense as just a home invasion. As I said, I am not an investigator, I'm not an officer. That's not my profession. Maybe I don't know anything, and some investigators sit down watching this and watching like, look at this idiot, he doesn't even know anything. Maybe that's the case, but for me, just using my little 2x4 logic, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 2 times 2 still equals 4, 4 minus 2 equals 2. Okay, some part of the maths inside there as just, a home invasion in the middle of an SOE, and you murder the people. Okay, thank you, Kurt42, appreciate it. It's interesting that the police have already sent this out there as they suspect robbery being the motive. That's very interesting to me that they put this out there already as the police. They have already established this. Or is it just that establishing robbery as the motive makes it less scary and worrying on the general public? Because if robbery is not the motive, then this whole thing becomes a lot scarier. Listen, with the police and establishing motives, police say no SSA link in prosecutor's murder. Police have dismissed conspiracy claims that the assassination of Special Prosecutor Randall Hector was linked to his previous role with the SSA. Hector 42 was shot dead. We know all of this. Although no one has been arrested yet in connection with his murder, a senior police source suggested there is nothing linking his death to his previous job as legal officer at the SSA. But they're saying police believe his murder was gang related. So explain this to me. How do you know there's no link to his previous job at the SSA, but you know his killing was gang related? How does one know any of those things? What about the shooting gave that information up? Because as I said, I am no investigator. I just read the news. Y'all as my witnesses out here. Royal Trini, we're talking about the murder of the attorney and her husband, a double murder, the first double murder for the year, attorney and husband. The police are saying that this was just a home invasion. The husband was found tied up. They're over 60. The husband is 67. Was found tied up downstairs. The wife was found tied up upstairs. Both of them murdered. And the police say this was a home invasion and they killed them. That I'm saying that doesn't really sound like 1 + 1 = 2 to me. It's clear they weren't murdered in a fight up over the robbers coming in. The robbers obviously had them under control, so they just murdered them for the kicks of it during a home invasion. Okay, and I'm saying we're tying that back. If it is indeed a home invasion, or if it is that the police are attempting to to manage the worry of the citizens. Because if it's not, it's interesting because there was another murder of another lawyer not barely 10 days ago. Yes, Uma, I noticed that too. Well, Uma says even if the SSA was involved, it would not be in the interest of national security to say. Well, then don't say. But you can't tell us that there's no link and then tell us that it was gang related. How can you conclude no link from the SSA and also conclude gang related? These fellas, back since what was the one of the original ones, the rebel guy, Rebel 6, and these fellas boasting about rifle war. These gangsters always shooting high-powered rifles. The reason they call the SOE is because the gangsters and their high-powered weapons. They're worried about the gangsters firing high-powered weapons and the carnage that it would cause across the nation. Okay, but this murder, this hit was 9mm only. Now, I'm just saying what I read in the news. As I said, I'm no police investigator. This is just news. So, if it is the SSA and you're hunting for people, I am not the one. Not I just read in the news. I know nothing more. But I'm just saying the news says it was 9mm alone. So if we're just using, the broad strokes to try to figure out as we try to get more information, does that seem like the regular gang hit? Is that the regular gang hit? Are gang hits usually very precise, well researched, well timed like that? Okay. So 2 lawyers were murdered just off of a random home invasion. Another lawyer was murdered off of the same gang nonsense that playing out around the country, Nothing in depth about this regular gang stuff. Even though the high profile gang case that they're talking about with him was concluded in the favor of the alleged gangster since last year, quite a few months before. So the high profile alleged gangster case work out to the benefit of the gangster, but the gangster still tack back, apparently. Okay. Yes, user, we read that article. From the article, the gang leader attorney said Hector was actually fair. Yes. Somebody have to bust the mark about what's taking place behind the scenes. Don't doubt that somebody who is dead may have been somebody who was trying to bust the mark too. Because he hurriedly left his job at the SSA April, and then the SSA exploded May. But no, there could be no possible link. While the police say that though, state won't provide extra security. Judicial officers fear for safety after video death threats. There's a growing concern among judicial officers about their safety after a video appeared on social media in which a man called for judicial officers and their families to be executed. Up to yesterday evening, this was an article from yesterday, so that'll be the day before that, a number of judges of both the high and appeal courts along with masters and magistrates were locked in meetings with Chief Justice Iva Archie at the Judicial Waterfront Complex in Port of Spain discussing security issues. The Express understands the Chief Justice met with the judicial officers in 2 batches, beginning at 1:30 p.m. and informed each group the state was unable to provide them with heightened security. Ronnie says the gangsters get heart and training. He with his family and only he got pick up. Nice gangsters. Yeah, real nice gangsters. They aren't spraying bullet. You know, you ever watch plenty of the times when the gangsters shooting, it's like, because they're anxious. But apparently these gangsters were well trained, precise, clinical in their carrying out. Umar says, but Nathan, how can there be a coup plot in the SSC? That's utter failure of national security. Bro, you telling me? You're telling me? That's insane. That is quite literally insane. A coup plot. But then again, when you think about it, it's kind of well in line. It's kind of well in line with how many of these secret agencies function. It is alleged by many people that the CIA out of the United States has perpetrated more than their fair share of coup-like attempts on their own country to pursue their own ends. So it's not totally unheard of for security agencies to be a bit rogue in trying to get what they want done. It's a unique position, eh? You're put in a place with a lot of power, great secrecy over what you do, and then said do the best for the yes E4, and not just JFK, all about JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, RFK, because you know it wasn't just JFK killed, RFK was also killed too. So yeah, there were quite a few, as in his little brother. Well, Kurt 42, I'm glad you asked that question. Kurt 42 asks, was there a video or videos of these murders? Ian Allen, where's the footage? Well, here's the thing about the first lawyer on December 30th, his murder. There are CCTV cameras all around our capital city, and this murder happened in our capital city, Uptown, the better area of our capital city. Cameras all around. There were cameras directly facing where this murder occurred. However, those specific cameras that were facing that direction only record live. They do not save any footage. So unless you are monitoring it live, there's nothing to see from those cameras. Isn't that precisely convenient of these gangsters? Is it that these gangsters were just lucky about which CCTV camera was where? Or is it that these gangsters have intimate knowledge of which CCTV cameras are where? Just as a by the way, on the whole interest of the SSA, the allegation coming out from the SSA, the fingers pointing at the SSA, say that the SSA Special Hit Squad was responsible for murdering the husband of one of their elite officers. Not elite officers, one of their high-ranking officers, who also worked for the SSA. And interestingly enough, his job portfolio was as a CCTV technician. Okay, you know, really strange stuff. Well, that's petty crime watch. Yeah? You ever notice that's not serious crime? That's petty crime watch. And I mean, how much do you blame the guy? Would you interfere with your 3 points in this country? Would you play with your 3 points in this country? I mean, the reputation of the guy and what he reveals to me has been out there for a long time. Some of his sponsors for a long time had allegations hovering over them. Some of the people he is alleged to be very close with have allegations over them. So, you know, I mean, how much watching of crime do you expect? certain TTPS members saying it's a hit and some saying gang related. No. There has been no TTPS members who came out into the public and said that it's a hit. The TTPS said it is gang related, and a senior officer said there is no evidence to link it to the SSA. So that's what the police are saying. I am saying something seems strange about it all. And when you compound that with the fact that the judicial officers are hearing they aren't getting any more protection, and they are worried, what's going to happen? What is going to happen? A judicial system cannot function if the members of the judiciary are afraid. Who has the authority to investigate SSA? Who interrogating SSA officials? Well, remember the Prime Minister did a whole reshuffle of the SSA. He fired a lot of the old guard and placed in a new guard, and I believe the new guard of the SSA, the new SSA, would be partially responsible for investigating those old SSA members. So I guess that would be the answer for who has the authority. So gangs know which cameras can't be accessed to solve murders. I don't know that. I don't know. They may have just been lucky, but that's the case. Discussions ongoing. Contacted for comment yesterday evening, Minister in the Ministry of National Security, Keith Scotland, confirmed that he met with Archie over the security concern, but he said the claim by judges that they would not be afforded more security was inaccurate. That is absolutely untrue. We had a meeting with the Chief Justice and nothing of the sort was said, Scotland said in a phone interview. Asked then if this meant the judicial officers would be afforded additional security, Scotland said he was unable to discuss what was said during the meeting since it was a matter of national security. So he's saying, no, we didn't tell them they're not getting any more security, but did you tell them they are getting more? Well, I can't say that, that's national security. Based on the response from Scotland, one judge said, so I'm supposing the Express went back to a judge and said, well, Judge, Your Honor, Minister Scotland said that this isn't true. The judge responds, well, that is not what the CJ said. The CJ met with judges in 2 batches, and he and the court executive administration indicated that there is absolutely no question of the state providing security, and the government has stated that there is no possibility of security details for judges. Umar says maybe all this has something to do with the PM resignation. One can certainly wonder, because there seems to be something very chaotic moving on the foot here. I wonder, because I don't think all of these judges are lying about what occurred in the meeting. This is my assumption here. I assume what may have happened is something along this line. They go to the meeting. The Chief Justice lets them know, listen, the government, because I don't know if you all remember, was it yesterday or day before, we were reading articles where the police were complaining that they are already stretched thin. The police are stretched thin. They were supposed to recruit 1,000 last year, and I think it remained at only 200. Lots of them failed the polygraph, etc., etc., etc. People aren't good enough. Police are running thin. So, if it is that they literally do not have enough police resources to go around, they have an SOE going on now where they have to keep heightened activity going on, otherwise the SOE makes no sense, and then now these judicial officers require more security. They just don't have the officers to go around, so they tell the Chief Justice, sir, you aren't gonna get any more protection out of here. That's just not possible. The Chief Justice goes, meets with his group. He tells the judges, well, listen, that is what they tell us, that is the truth. The judges say, hey, this sounding like something sketchy. This sounding like something that could get one of us dead. So let's go and carry this out to the public. Let this news reach out there so something could be done. The news reaches out there and the government is like, wait, we don't want it public. You all are not getting any protection, no. But let's not reveal this to the public. Because the knowledge of that, Ashanti and Andrea anniversary come. Because the knowledge of this in and of itself puts things even in a more dangerous perspective. Good night, good vibe. So now we know that the judges are worried. And we know that they aren't getting extra protection. In the video that was posted to TikTok, the man who was recently arrested in Tobago called for judicial officers to be killed. Or they don't stop killing. If the magistrates and if the judges decide that they are going to arrest me, I want you all to target their families. I want you to target their homes. And I want you all to execute them. He said, the man is saying that. If they so choose to charge me, kill them. Let the killings continue. The man shouted. Code 42 says the high-stakes game of politicking in Trinidad and Tobago is dangerous. This SOE is a smokescreen. Ronnie says they can just contract armed security for them, though. Well, yeah, but that's expensive. Who's going to pay for it? Armed security 24/7 is an expensive thing. Very expensive. So, who's going to pay for it? Well, the man was already arrested, so there's that. But the reality is, what this causes is any random madman can make these threats now, and now the threat carries a lot more weight. Anybody saying anything in a kind of sketchy way around or towards the judiciary is going to be felt now, because the judiciary no longer has that untouchable feeling. Somebody is touching you inappropriately. They like giving their friends money anyway. That's very expensive. Not all judicial officers are balling that kind of balling to have 24/7 armed security. And it's not just the judges. Can prosecutors afraid after colleagues' murder may quit over safety? And this is problematic because the office of the DPP is already significantly understaffed. I think like something like 50% understaffed. If the office of the DPP is already understaffed, that's part of the reason we have cases that take 2 decades to finish. And if it's already understaffed, and then people are going to call it quits. What's gonna happen? Who's gonna do the prosecution? Is it that we're gonna have to hire outside prosecutors for everything? Bro, I got a 18 in IT, what should I do? 18 out of how much? Study, that's what you should do. What do we do when judicial officers are scared and when prosecutors quit? And you know, things like this would have a kind of snowballing effect. the more fearful the judicial officers become, the more fear spreads. If one deputy or one deputy DPP quits, or one prosecutor quits, it's going to make it easier for the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one. And it seems like they're already struggling hiring. So, then what? Quite well, Aquamonster. I passed that for sure. I teach that. Spend the money to keep them. It costs less than trying to hire. I kind of agree, but we need to bring back sincerity. How are we doing that, Good Vibes? How's that happening? Where do we go to do that? Where do we go to find this Mr. Sincerity? And how do we kidnap him and bring him back to Trinidad? Do we need to call in the DCP to put down that job? Go find Mr. Sincerity wherever he is and kidnap him and bring him back to Trinidad, because how else do you suggest we get that back up and running here? Bring it back into practice? How? Let's look at the gangsters out in Tobago, especially after this murder of this youth man out there in Tobago. There's been some news coming out there about the gangster life out there. 12-year-olds joining Tobago gangs. One year, Sharia, and we in the clear. We don't have to worry about a thing anymore. Well, all the problematic people would be would lose a limb and lose an appendage and lose their life, and where else we gonna go from there? Tobago gangs, you say? 12-year-olds joining Tobago gangs. Minors as young as 12 are joining criminal gangs in Tobago. Senior Superintendent of Police Earl Ellie made the revelation during a Tobago Security Council stakeholders meeting on Thursday at the Hotroy Child's Administrative Complex Calder Hall. There's a trend not just in Tobago but in Trinidad and Tobago, which I can speak of in terms of we see the gangs focusing more on young persons. In the Tobago space, we have information of persons as young as 12 years old involved in that sort of activity, and this is becoming even more popular. The senior officer said these young people aged 12 and up are easily misled. He made a reference to 15-year-old murder victim Beris Joseph, who was wanted for questioning in a number of gun crimes. Joseph's bullet-riddled body was found on January 4th on the roadway between Patience Hill and Blackrock. That particular 15-year-old, he was not what we would call a squeaky clean young man. He would have been involved in certain activities, unfortunately, and at that age a young man is very impressionable. So imagine you take a firearm and place it in the hands of a young man, young impressionable guy who would not be thinking the way he is thinking, and that creates a certain sense of false power in the young guy, and this is why the gangs are focusing on that group. No. I know that wasn't the case, Umar. We spoke on that since last year. When you look at who was being murdered, it's obvious that it was Tobagonians being murdered. This was a Tobagonian gang war. That wasn't just Trinis out there. This was their own homegrown business going on there. And this is obviously the direction all of these things go. I was highlighting, I don't know, it was probably 2 years ago already that video would have been. I was highlighting that I am certain all of these gangs are going to get a boost in membership because of the statistics coming out of the COVID schooling period. Those years of COVID, many children fell through the cracks and fell off of the education system. Where do they go? Well, are we giving our country to gang? What is your perspective on this? I don't think we are giving. I think the gangs are taking. And if you don't have the wherewithal to take it back and refuse them getting it, then they will take it. They are criminals. They will take it from you and take it by force. And that is what they're doing. The gangs are getting more powerful, and if the parents aren't parenting and the state isn't offering proper security services, the gangs will take the place of both the parent and the security of the state. They will raise your child and they will claim to be the protection of the neighborhoods, because the institutions that were supposed to be in those places aren't doing their jobs right. Good is always stronger than wrong. People are forgetting this. No, I don't think people are forgetting this. People are lazy. There are many parents who don't care to do parenting. There are many parents who think parenting happens by magic, that you could just throw a tab at the child, tell them a paragraph of things they should do, and then you go about your life doing your thing, and somehow magically the child is going to turn out good. That just doesn't work. And those children would find guidance from somebody else. You aren't going to give them the guidance. Okay, somebody else will. You never notice how paternalistic many of these gang leaders alleged are treated? Papa, daddy, the big boss, you know the boss now, but people speak about them like that's their father. Like that's their father. Because oftentimes they practically are. Gary might make an epic return if Young is chosen. Duke, I will ban killing music. Progressive Democratic Patriots political leader Watson Duke says he will ban killing music if he's ever given the chance to lead TT. He spoke at the funeral of Zachary Lindo at the Pembroke Anglican Church, Tobago on January 7th. Lindo, 21, a salesman of Top Hill, Pembroke, was shot and killed while working at the Bacolet convenience store on December 23rd. He was the island's 26th murder victim for 2024. Addressing mourners, Duke said, I am saying this now. One of the things that I will do if God allows me the opportunity to lead this country, I will ban any type of killing music. I don't care. I will ban it. Any type of kill music, I banning it. It could be from Jamaica, Vibes Cartel. It could be from here. I banning that. Nobody could glorify killing, because killing could never be a right thing if you didn't give life. So I banning that. The thing is, I understand his sentiment, and he should ban it in his home. And that's the thing that is going on with the parenting. We're looking for the state to ban music. Where are the parents? I don't know how you all grew up, but us in the 90s could only listen certain songs. There were some songs that you could go and find that you know is out there, but if you only dare play that around any adult and they hear that's what you're listening to, The government didn't need to ban it. That's not the government's job. YouTube have it free? Yeah. And that's why it's basically unbannable. You'd have to basically make the country into North Korea to try and ban the music, which makes no sense. That's a parenting thing. I grew up listening Bounty, Terra, Fabulous, Supercat. Well, this is aside from the point of whether the music is making people do something or not. I'm not even addressing that yet. I'm giving the assumption, yeah, the music causing the killing. Let's say that. It's not that case, but let's even say that. That's not on the government. How does a 12-year-old listen to music? Do they have resources to go and buy radios or phones on their own? And if you're saying, well, it's the fellas out the road listening, why your child out the road? Like, I remember you used to have to ask to leave the door, and then I further ask again if you want to leave the gate and go outside in the road. And they want to know where you're going, what you're going to do, and who is going to be the supervision there. How it is that 12-year-olds pick up themselves and 8 miles away from home and nobody knows who or what doing. That's not a government or police issue. That's not something for the government or police to solve. Now, the thing is, the police do have a part to play. If parents are that slack, well, police have a more important part to play because they aren't there to parent, they're there to police. And what you'd find happening is if you are a slack parent, your child will be policed more. So sometimes some black communities lament about the interactions with the police, but some of that is because you don't parent enough, so the police have to police some more. Do some more parenting and there would be less policing. I'm sure some top lawyers and highly intelligent citizens listening rap on that. Of course, of course, of course. Of course. The point I have made with the music, to reiterate it again, it's not, it's a chicken or the egg kind of scenario. Which came first? These guys are not singers who sing themselves into a life of crime. It's people who have witnessed lives of crime and sing about it. Rebel 6 singing Rifle War is not the reason that St. Paul Street start to knock rifles. St. Paul Street start to knock rifles, and thus Rebel 6 sang Rifle War. So, if you don't want St. Paul Street to knock rifles, it's not to stop Rebel 6 singing Rifle War, it's to stop the Rifle War that happened before the song. If there was no Rifle War before the song, there would be no song. And yes, obviously, I do agree, the songs inside of that world help to exacerbate the situation inside of that world. But I am pretty certain, especially on the outside, the songs are just songs. I'm not saying to try this, but I feel some random person driving the Hilux drive past Beatum banging a 6 song is not going to come under a rain of gunfire. Generally, no. You could go in the gym and listen to your 6, 7, 8, whatever song, and nobody is going to murder you over it. So it's not the songs causing it. And to some extent, you could say that you should be happy for the songs, as the songs give you a clearer picture into what's going on. That's why I say don't drive inside. Relax yourself. But on the outside, because I honestly don't think it bothers people like that. Did it have a mass influx of people in Eric Williams' days from the islands, and these people end up with no jobs? Yes. History has effects, and yes, the shanty towns of Port of Spain and environs were caused to some extent by the mass influx of small islanders, and there are cultural differences. Amongst some in those regions and some in the wider Trinidad and stuff. Yes, that's a truth, but that is history. That is the case that is right now. We can't undo that. The songs kind of fuel it. Yes and no. Yes, the songs kind of fuel it. But the songs fuel it in the sense of this is what gangsters do. Gangsters mock and tease each other. So the songs are doing... They're a tool for the gangsters who are actually gangstering. So yes, of course it would fuel it. But that's like saying blue bandanas and red bandanas in the 90s and 80s fueled the gang more. Like, yes, it kinda did, but no, it really did not. It was a tool. The gangsters would have used whatever they could have used. It was blue and red bandanas back then, on the right side or the left side, some kind of ridiculous something. But you could say that fueled it back then. But really, was it really about the color of a bandana? Or was it just a signal of gangsters gangstering? This is what they do. So, okay, we don't bandana it anymore, we choose numbers. Like think about it. They're literally choosing numbers. 6, 7, and these guys would tattoo this all over themselves at a random number, because it's not about the number. Should we ban all numbers from 6 to 10? So now in Trinidad we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. See them numbers above 5 and under 11? Those numbers fuel trouble in this country. Them numbers is the problem. Ban the numbers. Back 2010 era, Muslim and Rasta City. Muslim City, Rasta City. I'm pretty sure that, especially on the Muslim City side, it's the news gave people that name, but okay. So what do? We ban Rasta and we ban Muslim? Nobody could be Rasta, and nobody follows Islam in this country. This Rasta Muslim thing causing too much war in the country. Like if it really was about followers of Bobo Ashanti versus followers of the Prophet Muhammad. Like, if that was really what it was about, or if it was just, using what was around them to fuel the gangster war that they were gangster warring anyway. Good Vibe says, I think Trinidad has the resources, both human and physical, to curb problems just halfway work doing it. We have more than enough resources. Resources are not the problem, not even close to the problem. Resources are not the problem. The resources haven't been the problem here for a while. It really hasn't. We don't need to spend more on the police to solve these issues. But to be fair to Mr. Duke, he didn't even only go after the gang music, the bad boy music. Exactly, Uma. Exactly. It was just convenient for the use that they would use. The irony back then. The irony back then is they were saying it's a Rasta versus Muslim war. But in Enterprise, where there was a big heated part of that war, both sides were Muslim. In East Port of Spain, where there was a heated part of that war, multiple sides were Rasta City. What are you even talking about? But it's a convenient means to war. They're looking to war. That's what the gangsters do. They'll take anything. So yeah, it's not resources. We have the resources. It's just the willpower. If we want to do that, we should create a movement to clean up the act in this country. Well, that's what we're doing here. We are creating a movement by sharing knowledge, by thinking. That is the movement. Learn. Be more intelligent. Be more perceptive. Understand what is actually going on around us. So then when we make decisions, the decisions are made with a more intelligent outlook. But yes, Mr. Duke said, the assemblyman also said he would ban what he called bad gal music. It is as bad as the kill music. I have seen women deteriorate from being this level to that level, and they have now become pretty pipers. They all want to know what you have to offer. Duke, say that. Banning the type of music is a start. I don't think that's a start. I think that's an end. I don't think that would work. It will cause bacchanal. It will be foolish. The ban on music is to come from the parenting level, not from the state level. Parents are supposed to be the ones that determine which songs you're supposed to be listening to. That's not supposed to be on the government side. Although I think there's an argument. I actually think there might be more of an argument. Hear what I'm saying here? I actually think there might be more of an argument to ban bad girl music than to ban bad boy music. Because some of that bad girl music is basically pornography in audio form. And pornography is banned from public already. No? Carnival Day, well, Trinidad is not a real place, Uma. Carnival Day, we break a lot of laws of our land. That Carnival is one of the evidence of the difficulty of multiculturalism. I think I want to do some more video essay style videos over on YouTube. If you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe over on YouTube to get some of those other videos. And I want to do a video on the difficulties of multiculturalism. It might be a very interesting video for you, Uma, because there would be some linking in with, I don't know if you're following the grooming gangs out of Britain right now, and the link with Islam and the bacchanal between the Muslims and the British, and the war that seems to be brewing underfoot there. And I think that's the problem. Yeah, boy, Reeve. Yeah, you know, we passed the 1,000. We begging YouTube. We begging at the YouTube. That's the difficulty with multiculturalism. Multiculturalism does not blend well with woke intersectional kind of politics, where the LGBTQ are more deserving of a spot in society, but the whites, they have historically had the advantage, so we squeezed it, and that's what caused that grooming nonsense. The truth is, I think in the UK in the early 2000s there was some kind of thing where an allegation of, I think it was one of those Pakistani minorities also had an allegation of doing something like that with a black girl. And the black community nearly burned down the whole place. Ronnie, you're ridiculous. And the black community nearly burned down the place. Because it's a strange thing. I think in multicultures, you actually need the in-group loyalties to work, for people to seek their own interests to some extent and balance the interests. If you had the interests balanced, if you have the interests balanced, then it's much less likely that outrageous things like that happen. So like in Trinidad here, we are multicultural too, but we don't have that kind of intersectional woke politics like they have up in Britain there. So if this random mad Rasta man that walking about all about going in temples and mosques and cathedrals and stuff and insulting people, if he was doing that in Britain, what would happen is they would really criticize him when he does it to a mosque or a temple, but then say it's understandable as a black man why he may do it to a Christian church and etc. That's rubbish. You can't do that in multicultures. You would cause the thing to disintegrate. The bad blood will build up over time. And that's what I think is happening out there in the UK. Multiculturalism is a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to manage. Many different groups that all want different things and different outcomes. And Carnival is our multicultural evidence, where there are many groups in Trinidad and Tobago. If they had the reins of power, there would be no Carnival. Carnival is kind of outside of even the legal framework of our country. But Carnival is something that everybody in the country just kind of let that be, leave it for a while. To me, that was also that changed not too long ago, the marriage laws in Trinidad that allowed certain religions to marry at different ages. That was part of that too. Yeah, certain people don't agree, but with the multicultural nature of it, you just kind of, hands off. Allow internal groups to manage themselves. Reeves says we need to doughlarize the nation. Nathan, look how long we saying that. Yeah, I agree, I agree. I don't disagree with that. I'm doing my part. I agree, but the doughlarization, as it were, is just basically getting one main culture to follow. You have to assimilate to one main culture. You have to be a Trini at the end of the day. Just to allow something to maintain social harmony. To make the look of maintaining social harmony, because you're obviously not maintaining social harmony. That's not how you maintain social. You can't get social harmony out of dishonesty. And that's the thing, you're creating more the people that you're purporting to help. You wanted to help the Muslim community to integrate better and not get as much hate. And how did that work out now? Can't have no race politics with Douglas. You'd be surprised, brother. You would be surprised. Have you never heard of the one drop rule? You might be surprised. Trinidad is a special kind of place when it comes to multicultural. Yeah. I agree. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to govern. It's not easy to maintain. It's not easy to balance. And if you lose the balance, things could get haywire. And it's kind of to our credit that even with the amount of resources we had, even with certain little racial tensions that build up every now and again, we still have maintained by and large a harmonious living here. That's some credit to the running and functioning of Trinidad and Tobago as a nation. And the way you see some of that difficulty in multiculturalism, different cultures, you see even Tobago Tobago sees itself as a unique and separate culture from Trinidad, even with all the melting pot that Trinidad and Tobago is. Like, there are some Tobagonians that see Tobago as a whole separate entity that needs to stay even more separate. The thing is, if each group thinks like that, there would be no unity among the country anymore, and the country would just disintegrate. That's why to me, that's a bad idea from Tobago. I think Tobago more ethnically homogeneous, though, yes, but that's also because they look at themselves as being that separate Tobago. Because I could say that Barrackpore is more ethnically homogeneous too, but Barrackpore doesn't look at itself as separate from Trinidad and Tobago. Usually. So they are ethnically homogeneous areas, but if you see yourself, and that's literally the problem that I'm saying, if you see yourself as being separate because of that homogeneity that you build in a specific spot. That's why, you know, in the earlies, what some nations that were attempting the multicultural experiments did in the earlies, they would literally forcefully mix things up. Bring this group here, put that group there, mix it in a bit. Because you're trying to get that integration going. Part of the reason a country like ours needs so many holidays. If you have Christmas, you have to have Eid. If you have Eid and Christmas, you have to have Diwali. How you mean? And then if you have Christmas and Easter, nah, you cannot give us Pagua too. Which other is the holiday? It's the challenges of multiculturalism. I think I'll dive in a long video on that. If there are no other questions though, that's all I have for now. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. This has been the Mindful Life. I am Nathan Springer. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next week, Monday, for the next live, starting around 9:30 p.m. We're looking to start back 9:30 next week. This 10 o'clock start is not cutting it. We have to do that 9:30, and from 9:30 we'll see if we could work back to 9 at some point in time. But we'll bite small. Say 9. Say 9. So just in case, if we miss the 9, we might. All right, 9. 9 on Monday. 9 on Monday, people. Until then, hold it down. Stay well. Stay safe. Stay inside, outside a little sketchy. Go and find somebody, child, and marry, and make us some nice Trini babies. If you're not from Trinidad, well, make babies for wherever you're living. Do your thing. The world needs some people. Go make some good children. I'm out, people. Laters. Bye. You weren't sleeping? You were not sleeping, host? You want to tell the people bye? Alright, come tell the people bye. Say bye, people.